Alright, I've got this rooted out enough to fit on my shaft. But then there's this bearing that fits in here and goes between, between that and that. That I'd like to keep. I'd like to keep the bearing. But the bearing doesn't fit on the shaft now. So I'm going to try just cutting a ring off the inside to widen it enough to fit on the shaft. And then I can keep my bearing and things will keep running smoothly. Maybe. Now the bearing doesn't hold itself together anymore, but if the pipe is through here, that'll hold it together. And you know what, the entire outer case on this thing might be redundant. Let me just check if it fits. It's just the roller things. Alright, I got that. It's totally fine without the case. On the next ones, I can skip the whole cutting part and just rip the case right off. That'll save me some work on these. What do you guys want? Alright, it's 3 o'clock, and I've done everything else I need to do today, which means I can build some bulldozer parts now. Alright. I got 2 of these things done, and now I need to cut this to be the right length. First I have to figure out how long to cut it, and then where to cut it. Wait a minute, I have a vise! Oh, I can go get my vise and bolt it onto my table. Oh, I'm gonna go get it. Yeah, everything's cool, man, no big deal. Alright. Ooh, this is not a swivelly kind, so once I bolt it down, that's it. I better put it in a good spot. Excellent. Oh, what the smackers? There's a bolt in here holding the thing that the screw here goes into, and it's barely on. Now, having been to factories in China, I know that the guys there they have quotas, like they have to make a certain number in a day. So, if a guy can not get the bolt in quite all the way and just get it to pass inspection, then he can make his quota more easily. So, and I mean, that's something that I'm sure happens in a lot of factories. But anyway, whenever I have something like this, I like to take it apart and check everything. There's this bolt right here, which holds down this part that this screw goes through. And this bolt was barely in there. It's nice to check these things at the beginning, because if that bolt stayed that way, kind of just part way in, and I cranked this down tight on something, and it pulled that bolt out, if it was only in a couple of threads, it could have ripped those couple of threads out. And then I would notice it, and then I'd go to put the bolt back in, but then it would be already missing a couple threads, and it might damage the bolt. Good thing I did my concrete already. Alright, so one of these goes here, and then one of these goes over here somewhere, and I have to cut this thing at the right length. You know what, first I have to cut this. I have to cut this here, because I don't need all this stuff, that's just going to be in the way. So let me do that. I know I need to do that, so. Vise. I haven't had a vise in so long. It's great. Look, it's not going anywhere. Oh. Nice looking gear right there. Sorry, I can't tell if I'm yelling. I got my things on. That's more like it. So let me just stack all this up and see how tall it is. Alright, on the end I have one of those, then one of these, two of these, one of these, two more of those, one of these, and one of those. So that's the skinniest it could be, so I'll make it a little bit longer so everything's not packed in super tight. Alright, is there any reason this thing should be wider? I don't think so. Let me just double check in my brains. Okay, I want it basically as skinny as reasonably possible. So this is 8 inches tall, so it'll be 8 inches wide in my imperial measuring machine here. So if I leave an extra 2 inches for spaces for extra stuff, that should be plenty. One of these, 10 inches long. Can't reach the middle. Thing. Cool. Oh. Solid steel. There we go. Bit of extra height. Alright, now make that stuck. Well, I happen to have a box of cotter pins, so I think that's what I'm going to use. Right through there. And I don't know if one is going to be strong enough, so I think I'm going to put a second hole through this way, cut this cotter pin in half, and put half in there and half in from the other side. I was a little concerned about that. This is going to be some hard stuff to drill through. I do have some fancy drill bits that may be able to handle this. Either way, not getting a hole in this is not an option, so I gotta figure something out. Huh. Well, it's definitely making a dent. It's gonna take a while though. I got mostly through one side here. And it looks like it's going alright. So I'm gonna do the rest later, tomorrow I guess. It's dinner time. But once I get through this this metal here, getting through the bar should be no problem. I can use a regular drill bit for that. And these weird fancy drill bits are this. I bought them at a trade show like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. And I haven't used them on that many things. But they're, what do you say? They're like masonry bits, but made for drilling through metal and stuff like that. They're kind of expensive too. But they supposedly have a lifetime warranty, like if I break one or melt it, I can send them back. I did melt one once, and I haven't sent it back because it's just been inconvenient to do so. Here's one of them. It's, it's like a masonry bit where it's got this extra hard, what's this stuff called? I forgot. Anyway, this extra hard chunk of metal in the front. And this is a pretty cheap drill press. It's one of those ones you get from Harbor Freight, the Central Machinery ones. And I figured I'd get it because it's cheap and it'll tide me over for a while. But I really want to get a pretty decent milling machine. But not too huge, not like a Bridgeport. And I know everyone's always saying, oh, you can get a Bridgeport for like $1.25 if you just look on Craigslist or wherever magical place people keep finding these things. But anyway, I need to get something that doesn't weigh like 6,000 pounds, like 200 or 300. Anyone have any excellent milling machine suggestions? Because yeah, I want to order one and send it down here because I will use it a lot.